Hey, ladies,
Hey.
I guess our doc is coming, but the doctor is in. The doctor is in. It's Wednesday. We are here. We are live. And I got some of my bestie breasties here with us today. And I'm so happy to be with these lovelies, these lovely, lovely, lovelies. And we're going to talk about a really hard topic, a really hard topic, because y'all have these beautiful, beautiful, here she comes, these beautiful, beautiful kids, beautiful, and you got to talk to them about this stuff. And I know you all, I know kind of all your stories and how you dealt with it. And I think you'll see that you all dealt with it really differently. You know what I mean? I think you all had different experiences and we talked about it. So I think it's a really interesting topic. And I guess I kind of put this topic in the docket. Hey, Doc.
Hey, how we doing?
Hey, Dr.
Hey,
Mo.
beautiful.
Oh my goodness, look at all these fabulous faces. I love it. It's like a
But all the
family
glasses, we all have rocking. We're the
Listen,
smart girls.
yes.
reunion. I love it.
The frames.
Y'all are badass.
I was just saying to them, I know their stories and they all had different experiences in how they dealt with this really touchy topic of how to talk to your kids. And just share my story real quick. So, Haley was a freshman in college when I got sick, and no, sophomore, and she was away at school. She was at Dartmouth, and my husband Rodney would not let me tell her how sick I was. And so she didn't really know. So when she came home from school for the holidays, I was like, it was a week after my mastectomy. I was just starting chemo. I was in a bad place. And so she was angry. She was so angry that I had hidden this from her at age 19. And I really, in my spirit, I knew that I should have told her. I knew, but I yielded to her dad and I was sick. It was like, how you're thinking when you're just diagnosed, right?
Yeah.
And looking back, it was a mistake not to tell her, but I think we all have to deal with it in our own way. So we got these badass women, and I think Deltra may come on too, because we were together yesterday and she's done with this conversation with us before, but I'm trying to give you breaks. No, I want to talk about it. So I think we got these lovelies, you guys. So let's let's talk. Let's bring it.
I don't know who you want to go first, but I just want to
since
say
you spoke up, let's do it. Tell us your story.
Well, I just want to say first that I don't feel like any way is a wrong way or
there's no
the right way. Yeah, because there's no blueprint for this, right? Like no one sits us down and be like, oh, when you're 36, you're gonna have to sit down and tell your at the time your how old was she? My 2-year-old, my 18-month-old, and my 4-year-old and my 6-year-old at the time. This, to explain breast cancer. They at that age, they don't. What is cancer?
Right.
They don't know what that is.
They don't even know what being sick is. They don't even know what being sick is, right?
Correct. It's just like, oh, I got a tummy ache, but I don't recall ever having to really like sit down and tell them what it was. They found out in a very traumatic way that something wasn't right. And I hate that happened to them, because after my first, what is that? What was one of the Neupogen injections? It was another brand. And I had a syncopal episode and I passed out in the kitchen, became very hypotensive. My blood pressure had dropped, just had a really bad reaction to it, we're assuming. And I had to spend 2 nights in the hospital. And so it's my kids who found me first. And I'm still trying to multitask and still trying to do what I'm just doing today, cook dinner and get them together. And I passed out. Like, you can't do that now, girl. You on chemo. You can't be standing over a hot stove trying to cook a meal. You can't do it anymore. And so, and that's how my kids found out, okay, mommy was sick, but they still, and it was very traumatic for them. So I got counseling for them, a pediatric counselor and things of that nature. But it was like, what really hit them that I had cancer is when I came home with no breast. So even throughout chemo, it was just like, they didn't really know, I was just laying more fatigued. But when I came home with no breast, that's what happened to your breast? Well, my youngest is like, where are your brownies? She calls them brownies. Where are your brownies? They don't want to hug me. They don't want to touch me. Like, it was like I became an alien to them. And that was very hard for me to deal with. And so I decided to get them coloring books. There's 2 Black authors, two of our breasties, Marquita Goodluck and another lady who wrote books with Black faces in it to explain what it is for mommy to deal with breast cancer. So I got those books. I read those books to them. It was still kind of hurtful going through the books, but it was a good way for them to see that, oh, okay, somebody else's mommy has breast cancer. Oh, she's bald like you, but she got through it. And and that kind of helped, especially my 2 older babies, to deal with that. And as a result, it made my oldest especially, she expresses herself through writing and coloring. So like she would make little different illustrations like this, you know, of mommy with the bald head. I don't know if you guys can see it. And it says, I love you no matter what, with my bald head. But she put a crown on top, you know. And I showed this to the therapist, and she was like, the fact that she put that crown and those hearts on there, that shows that, okay, she still looks up to you. You know, you still her mommy, you still her rock, and she still loves you. And so
That's right.
This picture right here, y'all, it had me crying for a good 30 minutes.
I love it.
Right.
So that's kind of like my story, you know.
I'll go next. So when I was first diagnosed, my kids were 3 and 13. It was during a pandemic, and I found, as soon as I found out, they were the first people, besides my parents and my husband, that I told, because I didn't want them to hear from somebody else or over a conversation. Me and my children I've always been a hands-on mom, and my kids, their age gap is so big. So, you know, my son was basically, 10 and a half when his sister came around, and his sister acts like she's older than him. So I know how I have to move with my children because they know more than you think. And my son, the conversation I had with him was very different than with my daughter. But, I spoke with him and I explained to him what it was. And I also, let him know, what was going to be happening soon because, triple negative, I was first diagnosed with stage 1 triple negative. At the time, there really weren't any options besides ACT. And they wanted to start immediately. And I knew that was the most intense, type of chemotherapy. I was going every other week. So I needed to prepare them for how mommy would look, because them being home, especially with them not being in school and them being home, they will see firsthand what's happening. And, I needed him to also be trained to be able to look out for different things, since he, his dad still went to work and we were home. If something was wrong, he knew what to do. And, at first, as young men, they'd look at you and just stare. And then I also knew that the next step would probably be he would go to Google. So, I had to, explain to him, don't always read what you see on the computer. At the end of the day, God has the last word, and your mother's a fighter. So, we're going to get through this together. My 3-year-old daughter, I actually, Shades of a Cure, which is an organization in New York City. They have coloring books, and they have one particular just for breast cancer. The author is Diamond Shamgar, who is also a breast cancer survivor. And I use that coloring book to have the conversation with her. Even at 3, my daughter was my little homegirl, my best friend. So I knew that because I had my breast moved before chemotherapy, my daughter would come in the bathroom with her chair and we have girl talk while I'm in the shower or while I'm in the tub. So she's going to see mommy with one breast and she's going to be like, sis, what's going on? What's happening here? And, she's going to ask those questions. So I didn't want her to fear what she saw. But I also used that opportunity to teach her how to check herself. So it became a routine where she checks her buttons every single night and she gets familiar with her own body. Fast forward to now, I'm stage 4 and my kids are 6 and 16. And having that conversation with them last year was very different because we were at a place where, I had treatment, although I had complications with surgery. We thought we had a moment to breathe, and that moment didn't last long. And then I now have to come home and tell my kids that mommy's at stage 1 and stage 4. But prior to that, I didn't run home and tell them right away. I knew that this particular time I needed to make sure that their foundation was prepared for what was going to happen. So I had a meeting with both my children's school. I had a meeting with their pediatrician, and I had everybody on board because I knew that, although they might not show it to me here, they will show it at school. And I needed them to understand that if something is going on, this is what's happening, and y'all need to be on everybody or hands on deck. So, even now I'm in a clinical trial for my stage 4. It's going extremely well. My recent CAT scan shows no evidence of metastatic disease in my body, but I still have to go every 3 weeks.
Thank you, God. Thank you, God.
Thank you.
Thank you, God.
Thank you. But when I mean my children are they ride or die for their mom. My 6-year-old writes blogs about her, our journey. She interviewed my team, she's writing her first book about her journey with her mom. And this is all what she wants to do, that she's spoken into existence. And at 6, she speaks about, the importance of checking her buttons and showing people how you check your buttons and knowing your body. And, we make sure that every time my kids wake up, I always say, good morning, beautiful, good morning, handsome, because I want them to know that they are always beautiful. They are always handsome. So she says that to everybody she meets, good morning, beautiful, good morning, handsome. And, one of the things I always tell people, because people will say, well, you're so open with your children, I'm not that way. Everybody's way of doing things is not the same, doesn't make it wrong. You have to kind of, unfortunately, we've been dealt this hand, but we have to, as moms, it's always our first job just to protect our kids by any means necessary. Even if we have only an ounce of ourselves to fight, because we're trying to fight to live, to be here for them. But the reality of it is that we know our children, and we know how sometimes we just might need to spoon feed them a little bit at a time, or they're able to take on more information. But I tell people the most important gift you can give your children, especially living this life of having cancer and going through it, is showing them resilience and fearlessness. Show them that in life, that regardless of what you're going through, you stay strong, you continue to fight. And the goal is not to always be the first to finish the race. They need to just see you consistently fighting and on that path, because life is going to be about obstacles. Life is not perfect. That doesn't mean you shut down and life is over. You have to fight through it. So I always try to emphasize that although this is my story, is how I allow myself to be presented and show them although this is mommy's story, this is not mommy's life. And mommy's going to always be that person that you see that no matter what, she fought and was resilient through any struggle put in front of her.
That's very powerful. But what I love that you said was, you know what, you own your narrative, whether you tell your children, whether you don't, whatever it is, your autonomy and your agency and your ability to own your power to live a life of authenticity is key. And I think that that's something that everybody can take away, because I feel like sometimes we do pass some judgment on people who are not ready to tell their kids or don't have some of these open conversations. And I think we have to leave room for whatever you wish for your life and however you choose to live that. But for you, I mean, it's coming from such a place of power and strength and vulnerability, right? Like that's the authentic thing. And I absolutely love that.
Thank you.
And as mothers, we know our kids best. We know what, we know our kids and what they and clearly, you gotta know your kids.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And I follow y'all. I see you and your daughter, your videos and everything on Instagram. So it's real cute.
Girl is a trip, man.
Yeah.
She interviewed me at the show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Miss Ricky, I have some questions for you.
She was serious too. She probably came with a briefcase.
I love that.
She did a video. Yeah.
I think I was one of those moms who, at the time when I was going through the process of understanding what was going on with me, it was not something that I was ready to share with my children. Mainly because we had already gone through the loss of Papa, which is their grandfather, right? That was right at the start of the pandemic. I believe wholeheartedly that he had COVID before they had a name for it. And I mean, every night at dinner, Layla was praying for Pop, including him and Grace in at dinner time and her nightly prayers. And I just knew that, one, I wasn't ready to bring another element of them losing someone to the conversation. And I needed to be mentally and physically and emotionally prepared to go down that road with my children. So we waited as long as we could. And my prayer throughout the process was, you know, God, let me know when it's the right time, right? He will guide me through that path. And I remember when we did have that conversation, I remember texting Toya and be like, listen, let me tell you how this went down. And she was like, that was imperfect. In the time that was perfect for them. And so, you know, we get through COVID, the kids are back at school. We had in the process moved, the kids moved to a different school. We're now at a different place where they're celebrating Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And my kids decided, you know, it was a pink day at school, unbeknownst, right? Or so I thought, unbeknownst to them, what they were representing. But Christopher, my boy, my 10-year-old, decided he wanted to wear these pink socks, low key, right? You know, he's 4th grade, big man on campus. Layla was pink from head to toe. She had a headband, she had earrings, she had the shirt, the leggings, she had it all. And that evening, Christopher had a game. And so instead of him putting on his game socks, he kept his pink socks on and went and played his game. Well, he's on the mound, he's a pitcher. For anyone that follows even a little bit of what we do, we're a baseball family, baseball, softball, gymnastics, that's where my kids spend most of their time. He was on the mound, he was pitching, and someone on the other team kept poking fun, like, look at Barbie pitching. And Christopher heard it, and a couple of his teammates heard it, and he was upset. And I could tell by his body language that something was getting under his skin, but I was far enough away that I didn't actually hear what was being said. So I make my way over to the dugout when they're coming off the field, and I'm like, what's going on, son? He's like, Mom, do you have a change of socks? No, why would I have a change? Like, what's going on? Mom, they're calling me Barbie. I want to take these socks off. Immediately, I was like, oh, then he needs to know why he's wearing socks. And when I tell you, I was convicted in that moment that if I could have sat him down then and said something, I would have. And I was like, baby, I don't have any socks, but listen, you know who you are. They're mad because you're putting them down, striking them out, or, you know, minimizing their ability to score. Keep playing your game, and, you know, we'll talk later, right? Because I'm not going to ever give anybody the opportunity for him to live in that space. So we go on with the game. I walk back over to where Chris was, and I said, it's time. And he was like, what do you mean? I said, it's time for us to talk to the kids. And he was like, okay, let's do it tonight. I said, okay. Now, right, I'm big and bad at the moment. Yeah, knock it out tonight. We get home. I'm like, no, I think we should wait. He was like, absolutely not. You said it was time, so it's time. Okay, so we get the kids, bring them into the room. I text my mom and said, we're gonna have a conversation with the kids. Something happened at baseball, and we really need to recalibrate how they're thinking about this breast cancer thing. It's not just something, you know, you throw on a pink sock for, or you wear pink all day. There's real true meaning behind it. And so Chris, being the compassionate person that he is, he sat them down and said, how was your day? What did you guys learn at school? And Layla was like, we talked about breast cancer and, you know, how women are living longer now with breast cancer. And Christopher talked about how, you know, the science is improving for breast cancer. And Chris said, well, how would you feel if you knew someone that had breast cancer? And the way that the kids looked at me, like, we was just waiting for you to have a conversation with us. And they looked at me, and Christopher kind of tilted his head, and he was like, what was Daddy talking about? And Chris said, because I'm sitting over here like the person with so many words, I had zero to provide at that moment. He said, well, Mommy's been battling breast cancer. And when he said it, he kind of trembled a little bit, like it had then now become real for the four of us. Christopher looked at me, and he kind of, I know that he was processing it, but the one tear took me all the way out. Like no big gesture, just the one tear. And then Layla, my little homie, she just wrapped her arms around me. And at that moment, you know, we all had some tears in our eyes just trying to going through the emotional process. But for me, it was not only a sense of, you know, this, I feel like I had taken some innocence away from my kids by telling them about this disease, but I also had a sense of relief because we had been, you know, we had turned into stealth agents, right? Sliding in and out of doctor's appointments, being a huge distraction when I was struggling with, you know, treatment and understanding, you know, all the things that was going on, how I would be in the bathroom because, you know, the onset of treatment can be super harsh. We had gotten really good at hiding it from them. And it was a sense of relief, like I don't have to do that anymore. So we cried a little bit, and then we talked about how, you know, I don't look sick. That's one of the great blessings of having metastatic cancer from the jump. I didn't go through the process of losing my breast. However, I have a bone to pick about that because I was so looking forward to new boobs and a flat stomach, and I'm still, you know, advocating for that for myself. But I didn't.
It ain't always what you think, sis. It's not always what you think,
well,
because I've seen a lot of flaps, and I'm like, well, what happened to them taking the adipose tissue from the stomach? Because it's still something situation going on down there. So
okay.
But
so we'll have to talk
That's
about
a different
that later.
show right there.
That's
Yeah,
a different
yeah.
show because we can talk about that. But I never walked around. I didn't lose all of my hair, although I did cut it on my own because everything else was out of control. I went to my stylist and said, "Listen, here, I need this for myself." I wasn't presenting like a sick person, and so we were able to hide that. But emotionally, my kids knew something was happening. And Christopher, after we cried a little bit, he said, "So now we're a part of the team, right? We're a part of your care team. You can lean on us when you need to." Lean on you, my 10-year-old, my 9-year-old at the time. He was like, "Mom, I got you. What do you need, Layla?" Well, I think that we should talk about this. I need to go to a doctor's appointment. My kids turned into my biggest cheerleaders. And they can read me very quickly now. "Oh, Mom, you know, just go lay down. You're not feeling well." Or, "We'll have peanut butter and jelly. You don't have to cook for us tonight." And now they're like the biggest advocates.
And how old are your kids again?
10 and 8. That boy wears every time he can put pink on with his baseball uniform, he's going to, because it now means something different for him. Later in that season, and I'll wrap this up, I promise. A couple other players heard what they were calling Christopher, and they decided they wanted to wear pink. I came to the next game. The coaches had on pink socks. All of the boys had, and it was nothing. You weren't gonna pick on my kid without having the rest of his team, and they had no idea all that we were going through. They just want to support their teammate. They want to support their pitchers. Christopher walked away that day and was like, "I'll wear pink every day." Because
that meant solidarity. That meant solidarity.
Listen, they wrapped his arms around him. The moms, "We got him. Look here, don't worry about it. We'll pick him up. We'll drop him off," whatever the case may be. So I was one of the parents that was like, I wasn't ready. But when God said it was time, I'm glad that we were obedient because my kids are rock stars and they're on Mommy's team. We can say it out loud and proud. We can be honest about how we're feeling. And to me, that's everything because I try to be a very authentic person, and to not be honest with my kids was something I was wrestling with, but I needed to give myself time to wrestle with this, you know, this debilitating disease. And I needed to give them time to heal and then be ready for this tough conversation. So they know, they're advocates themselves. They're champions for Mommy, for all the other women out there that are going through anything. But I think it was in the perfect timing. Perfect timing. I needed support, which is why I tapped into my friend Toy. Like, how did you do it? How your girls know from day one? And she gave me full permission whenever you're ready. And I felt good about that. That another breastie was like, "Yeah, no, do it how you need to do it." Even, you know, Ricky said to me, "Do it how you need to do it.
There's
Don't
no
force
blueprint.
it."
There's no blueprint.
There's not at all. Not at all. Well, there's no blueprint for any of this stuff.
Right.
As many Dr. Spock books out there about parenting.
Yeah.
Throw that mess away. Up in smoke.
Right. And like
So-
Michelle said, you have to adapt to, your kids' personalities. And then you got age factors into this. I had
Right.
toddlers,
Right.
so it's still something that is, is going to be an ongoing thing because as they grow, then they're going to have a deeper understanding when they hear the word cancer or breast cancer or what does it mean? But for them, it was a physical attributes, no breast and no hair. It was like something is wrong.
Right.
I couldn't hide it. Like something is wrong. Like when is your hair going to grow back? When is your boobs going to come back? Are they going to grow back every day? If my 3-year-old now barges into the bathroom because I have no privacy in the bathroom from my husband.
I don't think any mom does. Yeah, no.
I have a GPS tracker on me. I'm telling you.
They will find you.
They will
hunt you down.
find you.
There's something about
And
the-
bypass dad to
Right.
find mom in the
Girl.
bathroom.
Yes.
There's something about
Like,
the
can't he help
toilet,
though?
the bathroom. I don't know what it is about the bathroom, but that's where they go.
They don't care.
Any other room in the house, and
They
they're
will
nowhere.
not be denied.
The bathroom, they be there.
No, even
The
the husband. They
dog.
want to.
Dog.
You want to discuss,
Full conversation. Let's talk about the budget. I'm pooping. Please. We can do
Right.
it later.
they tell you stink. Well, I didn't come to you. You came found
Why are you
me.
here? Yes.
What? Can
Absolutely.
you wait? Yes.
No. And they can't. Everything is
No,
an
they need to
emergency
know right
while
now.
mommy's in the bathroom.
Right now, something about
What we
the
gonna have for dinner? I'm in the bathroom. I don't know.
bathroom.
So we got checking the buttons, right? We got feeling
I
the
know.
buttons.
I
We
love
got
the buttons. I love the buttons.
we got baby girls doing. Are they learning self-awareness? And then Lakia,
Yes.
talk to us about check the chest, right? We got boys.
Yes, yes. So that was something that we talked about, because Christopher learned in school that boys could get breast cancer. And he came to me, well, where would it show up? Because men don't have breasts. And I said, men do have breasts. They just don't become plumped like women, but there's still breast tissue. And he was like, I need you to show me. Okay, well, let's pull it up. And I don't go to Google at all. I go to WebMD or some other reputable sites that can really show me what a man's chest looks like and talk about those muscles and tissue. And he was like, okay, so how do I check? And I was like, well, this is how mommy checks. So you can do that variation the same way. You can feel around, make sure you get underneath that armpit. And we have really good conversations. Christopher is my curious kid. Layla has a Roblox doll, if y'all know anything about that, who's bald and is pink from top to bottom. Mommy, this is you. My Roblox character is you, and I need people to know that I'm repping for breast cancer in my Roblox game. Okay.
Wow.
Okay, because she has her own way of dealing with her emotions around this. Layla was the one that came back and said, well, is that why you cut your hair? Is that why you let all your hair go? Because you knew that you were dealing with breast cancer? I said, yes. And I didn't want, honestly, Layla, I didn't want you to play with my hair and it come out in your hand because that was our relationship. And she said, oh.
Wow.
Yeah. I actually, my kid's pediatrician is, me and her had a real deep conversation. So she actually now, when she does my kids' exams, she does a breast exam on my daughter. And with my son, we prostate cancer runs heavy in my family. So we've had those conversations and she checks him and she's even sent him to urologists and, just for him to get familiarized with those things because, I'm a firm believer if you teach your kids early the importance of these things, it's not something that's fearful to them as they get older.
Absolutely.
So, I'm so grateful that they have a team of people that are supportive of the cause. And her pediatrician's like, no, I could do a breast. It's part of her. We can add that to the regimen that I have to do for her because I want her to not be nervous. I want even she has to get a mammogram starting at 25. I want her to be comfortable to know what she needs to walk into and not be fearful. I want her to be able to advocate for herself and take no nonsense because in reality, the reality of it is living with metastatic breast cancer. Yes, there are miracle stories of people living years and years and years, but there's also stories of people dying as well. And as a mom, our biggest fear is that we're not there to walk them through this journey.
Right.
If they ever have to, even if it's for the preventative part of it, we want to protect them at any cost, regardless of how old they are. But the reality is, the reality of it is that cancer doesn't have to be our story, our death story. We can go to sleep and not wake up. So, you
That
know,
part.
my goal has always been, and still to this day, I'm preparing my kids for my absence. Everything that I do is a lesson, because I need
As
them.
we all.
I
Yeah.
need them to understand
Right.
that I'm
Yeah.
gonna try to instill as much tools in you as I can while I'm still here to do so.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
And you raised a good point, because, you know, even when we're bringing our kids in for their wellness visits with their pediatrician, and my kid's pediatrician is aware of what's going on with me too. She's a very kind-hearted woman. But yeah, like implementing, you know, making sure that when, you know, our young girls are going through puberty and become adolescents, that the pediatricians, you know, are educating, you know, our patients, our daughters, about their breast tissue, and doing, this is how you do a proper breast exam, because I don't think that's emphasized enough in the pediatric space. It's really not.
There
Well, and
is
I think
no emphasis on breast health, truly.
Boom.
No.
not at all, but I
For the
think
love of my girls do.
that part, right? And I
That
think
part.
that's important, because we have to, we're not only in this space, right? All of us that are bold enough, that are living this journey out loud, are also in the space of pushing the envelope for change, right? We all know we need better medicine for Black women and breast cancer, but
Right.
with that better medicine comes preventative care
Preventative measures.
for our children and for our children's children. And
Mhm.
so I can't wait till Layla gets to be of pubescent age to have a
Mhm.
conversation about breast health. When
Mhm.
I'm in the mirror doing myself breast exams, even though I already have breast cancer, I still do my breast exams, because I need to know if something
It
changes.
changed, right?
I need her to
Say
be
that
aware.
again. Say that again.
Even though, I repeat it, even though I already have a full diagnosis of breast cancer, I need to know what changes in my breast tissue, my breast health, because
Right.
my metastatic cancer is going to get smarter than the medicine that I'm taking. Eventually, something's going to change, right? Knock on wood. The medicine is no longer going to fight off. So I need to be able to let my team know, hey, some things have changed. We need some more tests. We need some more blood work or whatever.
Right.
But I'm also having those very poignant conversations with my daughter to say, listen, this is what mommy is looking for. This is what I'm checking for. And these are the conversations I have with my oncologist, because I need her to know what's going on in my life. And so when Layla gets of age, because she's now, you know, she has little speed bumps, not a lot, but a little bit.
Some buttons,
But I
right?
need her to, I love that. I love the buttons. But I
love
need her to be bold in her self-advocacy as her mother is. So the way that I demand a certain type of care when I go to see my doctor, I need her to have that same passion when she becomes of age, when she's going without me. Right. And so you said it, Michelle, we're preparing our children to be around without us. I don't want to be a crutch where they can't, where they're stuck without me. I need them to know more. I need them to ask for more. I need them to demand more than what I'm able to do, so that they can keep the train going. But I need Layla to be just as bold as I am. I need my son to know his parts and to advocate for himself, because it doesn't make sense for him to wait on me.
Right.
I mean, I know way more than I should as a person living with metastatic breast cancer with the health industry. I'm giving my kids that same ammunition.
Mhm.
So when we go to the pediatrician, they know that they're the most important person in the room, because without them there, no one gets paid. No insurance claim can be filed. So that same energy is how I'm teaching them now, when we go to our healthcare appointments. And not only that, my husband, right? I had to teach him too.
Right.
Um,
You're teaching them how to deal with any health situation. Right?
Absolutely.
Any
Absolutely.
health situation. Here's the care that we demand. Hey, cutie. I see you.
Hi.
Hi.
She keeps breaking into my office. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, join the party.
During the part, like the bathroom. But you know, you guys, even I was telling earlier that, you know, Amanda is 38, same age as you, LaToya, right? And so she's not been able to get a mammogram because she's either been pregnant or nursing for the past 6 years. And so one of her best friends just got diagnosed, just had a mastectomy last week, and she went to go help her out. And she's like, okay, mom, it's time now. And I had always said, we don't really know about triple negative. We don't know where this came from. We got 3 generations of history, even though I don't have a gene. I think when, you nurse your babies, do your thing, and then let's go get new boobs, because we're all flat chested anyway. Let's get new, my little big ones are bigger than trying to kill me. So, she thought her little friend Tatum, and she's going to see Dr. Hampton next week to schedule her.
I'm so happy for her. I'm so
ready.
happy for her. Yeah, we have the
Absolutely.
same exact. It's like Amanda. I have to meet her because we have the same story. Haley all the time, but it's the same exact story. I was pregnant and nursing for 6 years. She was pregnant and nursing for 6 years. We're the same exact age. I get breast cancer while I'm still producing milk. I had just stopped breastfeeding her like 5 to 6 months prior to me finding this lump and thinking that, this is a milk cyst.
Right.
And it's actually cancer. And so when you told me about her, I'm like, I have to talk to her. like I'm just like, I went into a panic mode.
Time bomb, and I think, and she's been thinking about it, but when Tatum got diagnosed, and Tatum's mom and grandma both had breast cancer, same thing, no genetic mutation, but family history, and Tatum's 34, and her babies, I think, are like 4 and 6, 3 and 6. So yeah, but she's like, okay, this is how I'm gonna deal with it,
Yeah, so I think the important takeaway from this for any moms who's listening, who may be going through this and, not knowing if it's the right thing to, tell their kids about it or whatnot, it's like, you'll know when it's time for you to, to do it. And then you have a sisterhood, you can reach out to any one of us. You have to know your name. It's like it's like when you meet another breastie, it's like we have an understanding like no other. There's no explanation needed.
It's a sisterhood.
It's a true sisterhood.
No talking needed.
No. And
none that we wanted to sign up for, right? Let's not get that.
No.
We didn't sign up for this.
We
didn't sign up for this.
We want to be in this club, right?
No.
Let me ask
you
you this. What if your child is very highly emotional or somewhat fragile, or the sensitive child, right? Because not every child is able to tap into that strength or follow that example of strength, but sometimes our children, they're the crybabies on the playground, right? They're the ones that have the hardest time managing emotions. What are your thoughts on how to do that, and have any of you involved a therapist at any time?
Well, and that's what I was leaning towards. If you don't think you have the tools, there are tools out there that you can tap into. I mean, even a quick Google search. But again, all of the women that are here, right? Toya, Lakia, Michelle, Ricky, Monique, all of us have our different networks and tools that we can tap into. It is okay to say, I need help, because I think that's the biggest flex of it all, to say, listen, this is my child. I don't know what to do. As a mom, I could use some support. It's okay to do that.
Come on, Mom.
And then utilize that support, right? Tap into a therapist, tap into a book, tap into a group. There's support groups, there's literature, there's therapists that you can hop on a Zoom with a therapist. You ain't gotta leave your house. There's resources out there, and a lot of them are free again, that you can tap into to not only find a way to have a great conversation or an outlet for your son or daughter who's one of the emotional ones, but also you may need that outlet as well, right? Because if your son or daughter is an emotional being, it comes from somewhere, and you may need to do a little bit of self-preservation and self-reflection, and so that not only are you having one conversation, you're having a multitude of conversations to deal with big and small emotions. And that's across the board, right? We all need tools. How many adults do we know that have zero ability to handle their emotions? They don't know what to do in tough situations because they haven't been given the tools. There's tools. There's tools that we can put in play. There's literature, coloring books. There's people that you can tap into. The best thing you can do, absolutely, is to tap into your resources and your network. And if you don't have an answer, ask. Closed mouths don't get fed. get information if you keep it to yourself. The best thing I could have done for myself is say to somebody, hey, this is what I'm dealing with. And look at the network that comes with just opening your mouth. You don't have to know all the answers. I don't believe to know all of them, but I know who to call and I know where to start.
Right.
And I know that the people that I tap into.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And we
the
talked a
women that I
lot
tap
in New
into.
Orleans. Like we talked a lot in New Orleans. Our husbands bonded in New
Yes.
Orleans, just leaning on each other for that support because they need support in this too, you know.
Yes, they definitely
Right.
do. You know,
They
and I
absolutely
tell
do.
people that all the time. When I was first diagnosed, my son was in his last year of middle school. He was getting ready for high school admissions. He's a performing arts student. I got him a tutoring coach. I got him a vocal coach to help him with his audition tapes. I know my daughter, her being a girl, got to get her hair done. I got her a beautician. She gets her hair done like clockwork every 6 weeks. But I outsourced a lot of my responsibilities because my goal was, I tell people all the time, I needed to make sure all the chess pieces was on the board so I could play the game. Because I didn't, when you going through this, you don't know what you're about to step into. You don't know how much of it's going to take from you. And when you are the person that holds the glue in your family and now you can't, that's another part of you that you feel like you're not doing your part anymore. Like you're not, you know, that hurts you in itself. You know, not being able to be as hands-on as you used to, you know, not being able to be as present as you used to. So I made it a point to have those pieces in place so that I didn't even have to worry about them anymore. Somebody was handling it. My kids were getting the support system they had. My family was there for everyone. And all I needed to focus on was tunnel vision. Because I tell people all the time, you know, one of the hardest things is walking into that chemo room and sitting in that chair. And watching the nurse have to put on all of this stuff just to put this medicine in you. And you have to sit there and accept it. And if you want to survive, you got to sit there and deal with it.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of mental strength to go through that. People just think, oh, you go to chemotherapy, or your hair fell out. I remember I knew my hair was going to fall out, but I had a whole attitude because my eyebrows fell out.
And the lashes.
And the lashes, like
and the pubic hair.
Yes,
I didn't have a problem with that.
I know.
Because of my eyebrows.
It happened, you didn't know why. Like you're like, what?
Yeah, I was like, what the heck? What?
It's straight patchwork, looking crazy.
And my daughter was like, well, I'm gonna I ordered me the makeup from Amazon and I could draw them on for you, mommy. Like, you know, that was her attitude. And I had to honestly, you know, her and my son are their attitude towards life and how they just, you know, it's not the end of the world for them. You know, and sometimes as adults, we get stuck in that on the things that we can't change. And we have to, then our kids, we become the student and they become the teacher.
I tell you, I struggled for a minute with letting someone else do Layla's hair because that was my bonding time. That was our mommy-daughter time, right? I was putting myself through hell and high water, hands on fire, because neuropathy was real for me. That's one of the symptoms that I deal with. But I was determined that I was going to be the one to do her hair until I wasn't. Until I said, you know what, at this point, it's not even worth it. And I called up a girlfriend who was doing hair and she was like, bring her down. I'll take care of it. The lady lives down the street from me. And I thought that allowing someone else to do that for me would be replacing the relationship that her and I had over here. And that was the silliest thought process I ever had. The relief now of just paying a little money and letting somebody else go through that hell with her and that hair.
Yes,
Amen.
girl.
Amen.
Girl.
Imagine that times 3.
Girl.
The smartest thing I could have done.
Girl, every 6 weeks like clockwork.
Imagine that times 3.
Oh, girl.
I used to hate
Like, and I'm like, look here, you don't even do your own hair right now. You short and I'm riding a short look all the way out.
Yeah.
But I had to let it go. And it was something that my mom instilled in me because I have 4 younger sisters. So she did all of our hair and she was a rock star, but my mom wasn't dealing with neuropathy. She wasn't dealing with cancer. She wasn't dealing with nausea while you're trying to braid. No. And why? And what am I trying to prove?
Right.
I'm still her mom. I'm still an amazing mom.
No one can replace you.
Nobody. But listen, that was an emotional separation piece.
Trust me, I know.
My mind it was like, yeah, why are you doing this? But my heart was like, because I have to, because I'm her mom. Shit, no, absolutely not. The money that I'm paying for somebody else to do her hair, I'm still her mom. I'm still footing the bill. And she loves it. They have a great time when she's getting her hair done. But then I can do other things with her.
Yeah.
Right.
But that's a hard pill to swallow.
That was a hard thing to swallow.
Hard
But
pill to swallow.
you guys, you need to write a book. Okay. So the other day when I was kind of writing the e-blast, you know, I went to Google. I went to Dr. Google and I put in how to talk to your moms about, your kids about breast cancer. And there weren't any, I couldn't find anything Black. all the sites had stuff on it. Very like, it was all very white bread.
We can do a collection of stories.
We should.
Nobody talked about doing their kids' hair. Like, we need to write a book. We need to write about this. We're gonna write. This is
I think we should.
And you know, something that Deltra said stuck with me.
That.
I love that idea too. Let's do it. We can all write.
Nothing Black. There was nothing Black about it. And remember when we had that one breastie on who died? She wrote a book about the hair. I can't remember.
Chiquita Estes.
Yes. And
God
she
bless
wrote,
her.
she had something like, God bless her. She died about a year ago, but she wrote a book about hair. But it wasn't really about talking to your kids about cancer. So we need to write a book, okay? We need to write something. And
somebody just give us the transcript of this recording as the preamble to the conversation.
I got you.
Because there's some gems that were dropped right here in this, you know, little hour long. And I think you could bring in other breasties that have had some success and had some failures, because trust me, we don't all get it right.
Exactly. And something that Deltra said before stuck with me when she said it, because she has 5 girls. And she's like, I had to learn that it was okay to lean on my village and other people to help me. Like I had to accept that I may not be able to go and pick them up from, you know, gymnastics this day or whatever. And she was like, I became okay with it. And she was like, I became okay with it at some point, because it was like, you know, I have to come to the realization, well, I am at NBC. And in the event that I may not be here, you know, while they're still young, it kind of, she said it showed her that they're going to be okay. Like, I still have a village that's going to help my girls, even though it's not replacing Deltra, it's not replacing mommy, but it gave her a level of comfort in the living.
Right. It gave her a comfort level to know that her kids were going to be fine. Hey, cutie. And that, but also, I think also, you know, we as mothers, we want to do everything. We want to do
Superwoman complex is debilitating.
Black women, we want to do everything.
We want to do everything. And so I think just even that realization that you can't is really good, because, you know, for all of us, we all have this mother guilt. And, you know, I say, okay, well, I need to be a recital, I need to be whatever, but I feel like crap today. You know what I mean? So I think we're all making these choices. And I love how it's okay to make the choices. And I think that's what we need to hear. It's okay to make the choices. It's okay to lay on the couch. Because I think, you know, not every day is a good day.
Correct.
Yep, not every day is a good day. And
it's okay.
And thank you for saying that, Ricky, because just based off when we had our touch talk last night, and I was sharing how, you know, I just kind of had to take a mental break and just kind of step back from everything and just everybody. And I was just kind of just doing my thing with my family, my children and my husband, and their summer activities, and just trying to focus on that and work. And I dealt with a lot of guilt when I was at my sickest during chemo, because I wasn't able to do things with my children that I'm normally able to do. I'm Noli mommy on the go. I'm really literally on the go. I like to do things with my children because I had a severely traumatic childhood. So my goal is to try to fill their life with euphoria. I just want them to be able to reflect on their childhood and be like, oh, I went to the beach, but we went to the beach with mommy. We went here with mommy. Like, we did this, we baked cookies. And, you know, I want them to be able to reflect on that. And I also want to culture them. That's why I travel with my children. And so it was weighing me down significantly that I was too sick and too nauseous to get up and be able to go to Dave and Buster's with them on Friday night, or to have our family fun night on Friday nights, or that I had to pull them out of dance their usual routines, and I wasn't able to do that for a few, while I was sick. And so that weighed heavily on me. And then now this summer is the first summer that I was able to be able to just have some of my energy back to do these things with them. And I'm like running the kids crazy. We're everywhere this summer, Jamaica, we're in Florida, we're in Georgia, we're everywhere. And I think it probably added to my fatigue towards the end of the summer, because it was like I was trying to play catch up and trying to overcompensate for I'm feeling guilty for them not being able to do their normal activities while I was at my sickest. And I just kind of ran myself ragged. And when you just said that, it just kind of, a light bulb just came on but that was okay. Like, I was only able to do what I could do in that moment. Like, that was my capacity. And I'm in that moment. But just like we're resilient as women, kids are also resilient.
Absolutely.
You be very
I have found, yeah, absolutely.
My
I have
daughter,
found that,
even at times where I was too sick to go with her to the movies, we would have a movie date in the house, and even like, I tell people all the time, sometimes our kids they play their emotions in their play, they'll use their emotions in play. My daughter, when I was, when I got re-diagnosed, she was like, all right, so we're going to have to order this Moana wig from Amazon. And we got to get a new nurse's outfit because I got to get new nurse toys because the toys I had last time, I outgrew them. But that was her way of saying that, she's going to be, this is how she is feeling, how she's handling her emotions. So I just got to sit there and let her play doctor and, put a Band-Aid all over me. And I had to wear this plastic Moana wig in the house with her, and we have our play. But, it's at times, as moms, we want to be able to do everything, right? And we get upset when we can't. And I remember my daughter had a dance competition in Delaware, and it was right after I had treatment. And I knew that drive from New York to Delaware was not going to work with my nausea, and I couldn't go. And my whole entire family went, and they even had big heads on a stick. And like, I went all out because I wasn't going to be there. They had to come and show out. And they had I had one family member that had me on Zoom, and I was watching it, and my daughter killed it. And, it was hurtful. I felt some way, but then I also know, you know what, Michelle, sometimes it's okay for a superwoman to sit down.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and it doesn't,
That's right.
Your kids still know that you love them. They still know that you're going to be there.
That part.
And my daughter likes to be outside. If she could go to the park 24/7, she would. But she also she's fine with laying on the sofa with mommy under the cover and watching a movie all day too.
Yeah. But you guys, you're creating their normal.
Mm-hmm.
You're creating their normal, whatever it is. You know what I mean? And like my favorite thing is I have a little t-shirt Amanda bought me years ago. Mom, maker of miracles.
Aww.
Right? That's what we do. So, but you're creating their normal for them. You're telling them this is what life is supposed to be.
That's right.
However it is. And it's all okay. And I think, they're surrounded by all these privileged kids, right? And so, but how do you're showing them what real love is.
I love that. Every October I get invited to the local high school. They have these pink outs. And the football team, they'll do all the pink. They'll do little plumes on the helmets. I have a patient, she'll flip the coin at the coin toss in the beginning. I've been to the water polo, soccer, basketball, you name it. And it's important because these young people come up to me afterwards and say, my mother had breast cancer, my grandmother, my auntie, my friend's mom, and I feel like I can contribute something, and this means a lot, even though we're just selling t-shirts and hot dogs. It's helping to do something good for people that we know, and that connection really teaches empathy. Right? Like these are going to be some really well-adjusted young people and adults who are going to make a difference in this world because of the example that you're setting, because, shit happens, life happens, and nobody asked for any of this, but how you handle, not only the adversity in your life, but just the journey of your life, right? How you handle that journey is just, it's a shining example. And I applaud you. Hats off. And I'm waiting for the book.
I think we
Let's
should,
get it
ladies.
cooking. Let's get it cooking. I've
think we
already
should.
started thinking about this, like tips on
Right.
what to do when you're not feeling your best. If your
Right.
kid has a dance recital, boom,
Right.
you just lay it
Let's
out.
start with that though. Let's start with some tips and let's do an article. Let's do an article for Black
Yeah.
Doctor and you know.
Well, and I think one of the things that I think about is what would I like to tell Layla when I'm not around, right? What letter would I write to her when she turns 16, when
I
she
tried
turns
to write that
21?
I did that.
I tried to. I
I
couldn't
did
get
that.
through it.
But I
I
think
did
that
that.
could be a great lens
I
to look through as we start to think about what things do we want to put together in this book, because that could lead to some great conversations for women who don't have a direction on what to do and how to handle this. I
did
mean,
that.
the reason why I found Touch is because I found a organization that was doing things when I was Googling, where does the support come from, right? And I found Unite for Her, and Unite for Her led me to Ricky, and Ricky led me to Mo, and led me to you other women. But there's not anything out there
No.
that looks like us, that parents like us, that thinks like we think. There's nothing Black or brown to help us have these meaningful conversations around something that could be so debilitating.
Gotta make it.
Yeah.
And not only that, but gives us permission to feel how we feel and to take a step back toward when we need to take a step back. To say to ourselves, I'm not gonna make it, but who could I send as a champion on my behalf, right?
Mhm.
Giving ourselves permission to let somebody else do the hair, let
Mhm.
somebody else prepare the meal.
Let somebody
We
else
have
go
to
to the hospital.
that part, right? We gotta, even as Black women, even those of us who don't have disease, right? We have to do a better job of not trying to do everything for
Everything,
everybody
We have
all
to
the time.
remember. We have to remember our village, our ancestors,
Had a
and
village,
our they have a village, but we
Yep.
have been so stricken away from our ancestral traditions, you know, that we don't realize that's what we were supposed to be innately. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
even, you know, and so, and even, and I think it kind of came back, you know, like 60s or 70s or whatnot, where if mom is working, you know, such and such mom's 2 doors down, standing outside on the porch with a house dress
Right.
on. Hey,
Right.
y'all stop playing in that, you know.
Mhm.
They've already,
Or wait
they'd
till
have
you get
already
off the
said-
bus.
When you get home, they already know about what happened.
They
right?
already know about what happened. They didn't already fed your kids a bowl of red beans and rice. So, honey, all you got to do is come in here and take a shower and lay down because you didn't work 2 shifts already. And
Right.
she's a single mom of 3, you know, and we've kind of gotten away from that. And we need to come back to that and realize that it's okay to rely on the village who wants to be part of our village, because not
That's
everybody wants to
powerful.
be a village.
That
My
part.
girls have
Maybe the title is
godmothers. My
Where
girls-
is the village?
It's the godmother. My girls have so many godmothers, right? I can't even remember who the real godmothers are. We're all godmothers. Like when, you know, like when Amanda got married, you know, we had the godmother table. And now Haley's getting married, we have the god, like, I don't know who, and they fight over, wait a minute, I'm the godmother, because they're all godmothers. I'll tell you,
Yeah.
too, you know, my son-in-law is white, Amanda's husband is white. And so when he first started meeting all the family, I would say, this is Aunt Diane, this is Aunt Judy.
Yeah.
All the
And he's
aunties,
like, oh,
yes.
you got a lot of
He goes,
aunts.
don't you only have one sister? I'm like, yeah, that's not true. These are your black aunts. You know, these so now I was like, is that a black aunt? I said, one of my
Yeah.
black aunts. They're all your aunts. Okay, they're
Right.
all your aunties,
Yep.
and they're your village. But that's
Yep.
what we
Yeah.
need, you know?
Yep.
Yeah, we need to get back to that. We need to
Yeah.
get back to that.
Definitely.
Well, the blueprint has been laid, ladies. Now we just got to do the work.
Book, guys,
Alright.
I'm ready, y'all. I'm gonna send you this video, and I'll get the article started. We'll get it published. Black
Yeah.
Dog, we got an article for you.
There you go.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a
And I
great way
think
to
the
start.
one of the main tips for moms, is just to know it's okay to take a time out.
Right.
It's okay to take a time out. You know, a lot of times we try to save the world and
Yeah, we
everyone
don't have
around
to.
it. And you know, one of the things my dad used to always tell me, he was like, you know, everybody you always want to do to give your kids what they need, and sometimes, you know, what they need and sometimes what they want.
Right.
But the reality of it is, all they really want is your time. And your
Right.
time can be spent in any type of way. You don't have
Any
to
type
give them
of-
fireworks for them to be happy. Just your time. And your time can be just sitting on a sofa watching a movie.
Yep.
And then sometimes you might have to be that child. They aren't got to give them the time while you in the room relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
we have to remember, we have to continue to pour within our own cup
Yeah.
every single day.
There it is.
And
Boy,
no-
that's the
and
time
no-
of the year for our wellness day. I
Yeah.
hope you all
Listen.
can make it September 23rd. The theme is remember your first love, yourself,
Mhm.
right? To fill
Get
your
my
cup
cinnamon.
first,
I love
especially
that.
going into October, because you all are going to be in high demand to give lots of talks and educate all the
Oh
streets.
my gosh, it's
You know
already
how
a
it
lot.
is, Zoom after Zoom, talk
Yep.
after talk,
Yep.
churches, you name it.
And you know
All
what's so
that.
crazy with that I tell people all the time, like I understand October is highlighted is breast cancer awareness month, but breast cancer is every day. When you-
Every day. The
Right.
Tatas
every
are
day
Well,
when you live in it.
365. Every single
Every day
day.
when you
That's
live in
right.
it.
Every day. It's like Black History Month.
Oh
No,
yeah.
Well, you make sure you protect your peace. Right.
Mhm.
And I think that's a message for parents, for people who are watching.
Yeah.
Protect your peace, protect the
is not
peace of
negotiable.
your family, right?
That
And
part,
know
yeah.
who you can lean on, and make sure that you have a network of people who are lifting you up and not tearing you down or making you feel guilty or making you feel like you should feel anything other than what you feel. You should feel better by now. Aren't you already done?
Mm.
No, those are not the people for your network and your tribe. So, make sure you surround yourself with those folks. We already had a request for part 2 in the chat
I
here.
know, I
So,
know. And
Okay.
Deltra sent me a note that she's out with her girls. Sorry to miss you guys, but she's out with her girls. She needs her
Boom.
mom.
You know what? No is a full
Full
sentence.
sentence. Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Yep. Yep.
that's it. Wow.
So-
We hope it's been relatable and reliable and real. That's what we do here every Wednesday night on Black Doctor, me and Ricky and all of you. And we're so thankful for the opportunity to do it and for the sponsors. And
And we have a new sponsor now, Mo Novartis.
Oh, wonderful. We're
Ooh,
grateful for
wonderful.
Novartis.
Our sponsor.
Absolutely.
And Amgen, thank you for everything you do for us. And Black Doctor, we love you guys. We're so
Mm.
grateful for the platform. And I love you guys so much.
That's it.
Love you too.
Bestie love.
Love you. Love you guys.
Have a great evening, Queens.
You too.
So.
Rest love.
Bye.
Rest in
Bye.
love.
Bye.